Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Let's talk about Kanban versus Scrum. Scrum is very, very popular, and that is usually if you have an agile transformation, as it's called, when you go from waterfall to something more agile, then it's usually Scrum that you actually move into first. But actually, Kanban is more flexible and more agile than Scrum. So, because if you look at it, I found this really cool table here at coursera.org, but there are many other good Kanban versus Scrum resources if you just search for it out there. But I really like this table and the schematic right here because it actually breaks down the main changes, the main differences between Scrum and Kanban. So first of all, one of the reasons why companies actually love Scrum is because that they have a lot of roles. So you can actually you can certify the people that before were project managers. They can actually be recertified as product owner. So you can get a certificate, like a nice Scrum certificate as a product owner. You can also get one as a Scrum master, and of course you can also get a certificate as a development team member. So you have all of these roles right here. The problem with Kanban from a corporate perspective, if you are someone with ambitions and you are not a developer, that is that there are actually no roles in Kanban. There are no defined roles. That is also what makes it so much more agile and flexible, because you actually focus on the task rather than the process, and rather on you have kind of the same. You still have retrospectives with Kanban. You still try to improve yourself, but with Scrum, it is kind of a process. Even though if you read the Scrum guide, then it says it's not a process. It's it's a version, a variation of Agile, and you should always try to change it so it actually matches your team to be to be the most so you're productive and all that. So but Kanban, with Kanban, the delivery cycle is as soon as you're done with one task, then it actually goes into production. You can actually push it directly into production if it's done and if it has fulfilled all of the quality criteria. While with Scrum, you will actually push your features into production in the end of your of your sprint. And your sprint is it's usually 1 to 4 weeks, and the most common is actually like 2 weeks, as a 2 weeks sprint. Because 1 week, if you only have 1 week's sprint, then you would have a lot of overhead by planning the planning itself and also the retrospective. That can be a bit much if you have to do that every week. But of course, if you keep it short, if you do it every week, then of course you can also keep it shorter. But it's most, at least in my experience, then 2 weeks is the most used Scrum length or sprint length. And then we have something like a change policy can be incorporated anytime, and generally not made during sprints. So that means that if someone comes with a good idea and says, "Hey, shouldn't we try to do this another way?" Then if you're running Scrum, then that will be in the retrospective, and you would do that when the next sprint starts up, and then you will try it out. There's a general rule that if someone has a new idea and you're not sure whether it's a good idea or not, then and if there's a kind of if the team agrees on it, then of course then you will try out this new idea in a small scale, and then you will see was it good or was it not a good idea? Was there some downsides that you do not see? And then you can determine in the following retrospective whether you should onboard this change permanently or if it was just an experiment. So it's okay to experiment, but that goes for both, of course. But with Kanban, since there are no sprints, then that means that the best time is always now. So if you get a good idea, then you can try it out now in a smaller scale. As usual, of course, you have to agree on this in the team. So the team should be autonomous. You should actually decide and do stuff yourself. It is the team still that delivers. So then we have the artifacts. We have a Kanban board when it's Kanban, and with its Scrum, then we have a backlog. We both have a backlog. We also have the sprint. We have the sprint backlog. That is what we're doing right now. And then we have the product backlog where we have to do refinements and stuff like that. or stuff like that. We have to refine it together with the product owner, and the product owner will go talk to the business and be the link between the business and the Scrum team. And then we have the product increments, that is the changes that we are actually implementing. So those are the changes right here. I'll show you a Kanban board in just a couple of minutes. Then we have the tools. The tools are kind of the same. We have the Jira software. Of course, there are also other products. Jira is very popular from Atlassian, and that is the one that I will show you in the end of this video right here. But there are also other products out there, of course. And many of these, they have integrations to your source control management system, for like GitHub or Bitbucket. And when you have that integration, then in your comments, when you're committing your code, then in your comments you can actually mention the Jira number, and then you will have that attached to your Jira automatically, and then that means that you have transparency on the Jira, and you can see what is actually being made on the Jira in almost real time, as soon as you commit, at least, right? So there are some really good integrations there. There are also integrations to your chat systems like Teams or Slack or whatever you're using, and most of these systems, they have those integrations in place. So then we have the key concepts: effective, efficient, predictable, and we have transparency, adaptation, inspection. And you could actually swap these. You could actually swap these concepts, and they would actually still apply to the other categories. With Scrum, you also want to be effective. You also want to be efficient, and you also want to be at least predictable, because you're using something called points, right? So you're estimating all of your Jiras, and you want to be predictable. You want to see what you can deliver through a sprint. And also the same with Kanban. You're actually also transparent right there, because you have this Kanban board, the Kanban board, and then at its Kanban board you can see which tasks are in which state right now. Adaptation and inspection, you still do that in Kanban. Actually, you're still trying to inspect and to adapt to be more efficient, and you still have these meetings once in a while where you talk about what can be better and what is already good. But you don't have them. You don't have to have them on fixed on fixed dates in your calendar. You can actually just have them whenever you feel like it. So Kanban is more like it's more like you don't do things just because it's in the calendar. You do things when you think it's needed, and as it states right here, no roles, and that can sometimes be the problem to begin with, because if you go from waterfall, then you probably have some project manager, and they maybe also have some business analysts and something like that, and they can actually take the roles as a Scrum Master, also a product owner, and then it all makes sense, and it's easy to incorporate Scrum into a company or into a team, while Kanban can be a bit more difficult to begin with. But if you have a Scrum team, then it's actually quite easy to go to Kanban whenever you want to. Some actually say that it's better to use Kanban when you are in the maintenance phase. That means that when you're done developing the project, so you will start up with Scrum when you have to develop the product, and then when you're done with the product, and it's just in quotes maintenance, then you would then go to Kanban. But there are actually no rules about that. I would actually say that Kanban, it's much more flexible. So of course you also have to have a bit more. You don't have to have more discipline. It's just more flexible, and you don't have these dates in your calendar where you just do stuff just because the Scrum Guide says that you need to do those things. And that's also why I think if you have not tried Kanban yet, then try it out and see if it actually fits your setup. And even though it says that you have to deliver, that the delivery cycle is continuously, you can still hold back stuff and say that we only deliver every Monday, for instance, or whatever fits your needs or fits your organization. You can also say that you can still bundle it up, but it is meant for continuous delivery cycle. It is meant for that you have this small feature, and then it goes into production as soon as possible. And then whoever actually ordered it will then get a notification, and everybody's happy about that. So I would say this is the biggest thing, that you have to talk to the people that actually receives your features. If they're not ready to receive if they want larger features that need to be bundled up together, then sometimes Scrum is actually a good idea, because then you can bundle it up, and you have 2 weeks to actually deliver one feature that generates value. While with Kanban, of course, when you're done with delivering something, you need to know that this actually goes into production, and you need to make sure that it is turned off if it's not if it should not be used right now. But you have the same situation with Scrum also. Sometimes you have to feature toggle some of your features so they don't go directly into production whenever you deliver code into the next sprint. So I would say you would have this problem anyway. So yeah, Kanban, continuous delivery. Scrum, the delivery after each sprint. With Kanban, you can still have epics, so you can still have multiple Jaras that need to be done before this epic is done and can be delivered. So that is also something that you need to be aware of. But what does it look like, Mike? This Kanban and Kanban right here. I went into Atlassian, and then I created a free board on my own domain right here, Code Investigator. And I created this Kanban board right here. There's a good quick start, and of course, many of these product vendors they have apps, and they have templates, and they have a lot of things, because of course there's a lot of business in these systems right here. Because when you get into one system, then there's another product for instance, for source control management. So there's the whole you have the whole infrastructure ready, and you can just add more modules and more products as you go. Of course, you can also mix the products. You don't have to choose Atlassian's Bitbucket just because you're using Jira. Also, you can also I've integrated this with GitHub actually, so that means that if I commit code on one of these on my Jiras, then I can see it on my board. But first of all, this is my board I have right here. So it's quite simple with Kanban. To begin with, you have a to-do list, you have an in-progress list, and you have a done step. So you have these 3 steps right here. With Kanban, you can actually put limits to them. So that means that you can actually set a column limit, and that is used a lot with Kanban, that you are trying to limit the ongoing simultaneously tasks at a time. So you're trying to limit this. So I can set a limit to 3, then I can maximum have 3 things in progress at the same time. Of course, one person should never work on more than one thing at a time, unless he or she is impeded. Or then if the task is impeded, then of course you can work on something else. But then you should actually maybe put it back in to do, and then flag it, and then put another task in progress. These tools right here, they have templates for a lot of weird stuff, and when they're being sold, then you can see that it actually works for this cool situation that I have right here. But I would actually say you should try to keep it to a minimum with these columns right here and the steps. Just keep it to 3. Maximum 4, let's say. And actually, I don't think you should have more than 3. And it should be something that makes sense to the team. It should not be something that maybe a team manager or something like that would go. And you should not have that role at all in Scrum, of course. But sometimes you actually have a team manager where you can go and complain to and ask for courses and stuff like that. That is actually very common. So you should set this board up so it makes sense for the team, and usually you only need a to do, in progress, and done. Don't try to over analyze and over visualize what you're doing. It's enough with the in progress, because you still have the daily Kanban meeting every morning. Just like with Scrum, you have a morning meeting where you just talk about each task. Are you impeded with something? Do you need help on your task? If not, then yes, go achieve greatness. So then you have this in to do. And if you are doing test-driven development, of course, when you click on your Jira, then you would have some acceptance criteria that you can use to create your tests. So then you would start with creating your tests, then you can see them fail, and then you can do the code and see that these acceptance criteria or tests, they will go green one by one. Let us move it. I'll move this to in progress right now because it is actually in progress. So that's actually it's much more simple than the the Scrum boards usually is, because you can also make the Scrum boards simple if you want to. And regarding the backlog, if you're doing a project, of course you still have to go and refine at Jira and help the business on the actually to create these Jiras. It's not like you can just push away some of that work. Actually, most work nowadays it's actually to find out what it is that generates the business value along with the business people, right? You're the developer, so you have a lot of experience on how to implement stuff. They are business people. They know how to generate value and how to make money for the company, for the investors. So work together. That's always a good idea in both situations, and if possible, then sit together physically. But of course, in these times, it does not matter because you have all of these remote tools. So you can also just have a remote culture. So it's easy for you to access people remotely and just to call people up on whatever chat or phone system that you're using. But cooperate and do not hesitate to interrupt and bugger each other. But this is Kanban. This is a Kanban board. And was there anything that I forgot? Let me just check right here. I have the thoughts about Kanban. Yes. Differences. Yes. We went through that. Create and delete a new step for the board. Yes, I could do that. And then I will. Yeah. Okay. One thing I actually like about the Jira system right here is that whenever you want to see the shortcut keys for it supports markup. Or is it Markdown? Yes. So that means that let's say that I want to create a new issue. Then I can just press create up here. And then I can have some kind of a new task, code something right here. And then when I go to my description, then I can use Control plus /, and then I can actually get this editor help right here. It's Markdown here, of course. And then you can see here, okay, I can use a heading, and I can, etc., 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 so that's fine. Okay, I want to use a heading. Test 1, 2, 3. So now it's a heading here, and then I want a bullet point. That's the first point. Then maybe I want then I want a numbered list. Then I can do like this, and maybe I want something in bold. Then I say this bold. Or was it 3? Or did I just 2 should be bold? Okay, let me just try that again. So I'll just write 2 is bold. It does not work. I don't know why, but okay. It also needs to have 2 afterwards. Okay, like this. Okay, now it's bold. So that I really like that. I think that's pretty cool with pretty neat with this menu right here, because this is actually what we need when we're writing stuff. We don't want to use the mouse a lot to sit and click and create links, and also if we want to use the codes, then we can use this little thing right here. That means we can write this, and then we can say system out print line hello world. So now we have some code right here. Wasn't it the right? I think this is okay, right? Okay, but code snippet. Okay, so it's 3 of them. This was the one I was looking for, actually. Code snippet. So, because usually then you have some code, and then you, then you have that right there. And then you can get the fonts that matches the code snippet. So now we create a new task. It's very easy to create a new task. It's very easy to move, and I can also put my face on it very easy. What I want to say right here with Jira in general, that also goes for Scrum. Try not to overcomplicate things. Try not to add too many. It's okay I just added a label right that's at YouTube. Only add the labels if it gives you value. If it's something that you're going to filter on later on, then yes, do it, of course. Also, you can create epics. You can have two types. You can have epics, and then you can have tasks on that epic. Only do that if it makes sense, of course. And sometimes it does. If it's something where you have to finish 4 tasks before the epic is done, then of course do that. But only do things that make sense. Do not when I've seen sometimes when people, especially if you take a course in this in this tool right here, then people they go totally crazy in it. They create a lot of weird stuff and a lot of weird filters. They create they actually create more properties in here, so they actually create more. They create more fields that you have to type out. Maybe they split up the accept criteria actually in a separate in a separate box because it's very important and stuff like that. So try to keep it simple, and I actually like the comments right here where you can actually add comments and then you can write wherever you want to. Like I have a good idea to implement it or something like that. That's pretty cool. And of course, in these social media times, of course, you can go and you can also vote. Go and vote. You can go and give it a like. Yeah, that's how it is nowadays, I guess. You can add a flag that is. Can also set it to impeded. So now we are flagging it. And again, you should not use too many flags. Just, keep it simple. If something blocks you from doing it, then flag it. Do not have like 10 flags for when it's impeded outside or when it's impeded inside. It does not matter why it's impeded. You can, or it matters of course, but you can write it. But you can write that on as a comment, and you can also tell your team that in the morning. You don't have to. You don't have to use this system for everything, right? It can't make you coffee anyway. But this was Kanban. It was Kanban versus Scrum. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you. You probably has a lot of. If you have some cool stories and experiences with Kanban and Scrum, and if you came from Scrum to Kanban, of course, give me a note as usual. Give me a comment. I like to read your comments. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. Bye bye.